Hello, what's up, guys? How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing fantastic. I wanted to get on here and make a hopefully quick video every time I say that and don't go in 30-40 minutes, but I still want to keep on track with staying in the flow and getting back to making regular videos. So today I wanted to read a little bit. I have the book here that I got at the used bookstore here called McKay's. A lot of people in the South know what McKay's is. This book is called It's a Meaningful Life, and the author's name, if I can find it, is Bo Lazoff. And I really like this book because there's lots of this is something I look for when I get for used books is you'll find a lot that are signed, that people have gotten signed by the author. And then this one has little highlights and little dog-eared pages where someone that has read it before me found really meaningful passages and went ahead and marked them, or they did some kind of, group study about the book or whatever it may be, but they went ahead and highlighted things that were important to them. And once it caught my eye, they also started to look important to me too. So I figure whoever was on the journey with this book before me got a lot of use out of it, and I might also. And I think it was $3, so you can't beat that. Plus it has this little bookmark in it. And it says, convert all difficulties into the purification of your character. And I searched this because there was no author, there was no credit, and I thought, did this person make this up? Did it come from this book? And I looked it up, and it came from a book called the God Calling book. And it starts off with fear of what others will think is lack of trust in me. Convert all difficulties into the purification of your character. So I really found that important because I have tried to do that along this journey, and I hope that you guys all do the same, that you try to convert any difficulties into a purification of your character. Use the things that you're going through to make you a better person instead of being reactive. Be proactive about how you internalize those things. Of course, transmuting the negative energy, bringing positive meaning to the negative things, turning it into power for yourself, into fuel, into positivity, learning how to turn it into something that you can use for energy is wonderful. I often try to turn it into something that will make me money, that will make generational wealth. That's why I want to help others and start a business doing this, to write books, to give speeches, to have a podcast, to do whatever I want to reach out and touch the lives of others, to help guide them through difficult times, and also to meet people and become enriched by others. I think that no matter what, if someone entered my life and they had malicious intent, I still like to think that they got something from meeting me, and that I can always find the best in someone else. Even if I discerned that they were not a friend of mine, that I still found valuable traits and positive things in their character that I could take away from that experience. And also that, they taught me, they sharpened my discernment. They helped me. Every person that you discern that is not for you helps you become better at that skill. So there's always a positive takeaway. You don't have to be like, damn that person, or they suck, or why do there have to be people like that in the world? Pray for them immediately. The hardest thing that you'll ever do is learn to pray for someone immediately. It took ultimate betrayals for me, and lots of practice for me to automatically turn and pray for someone when they did something harmful to me or hurtful to me. Yeah, especially if it was deep rooted, like being cheated on, or um, one of your best friends turning out to be a Judas or something like that, which have been things that have happened to me. And before I had truly awakened to my path and purpose, these things were devastating. So, how was I supposed to pray for them when they didn't care that they threw me in a pit, or they didn't care that um, years of friendship or a commitment, a vow, um, it wasn't important to them at all. They just threw it away because of lust, or because of envy, or whatever it was that caused them to act flippant about what you really invested in and you took seriously, but they clearly did not. Learning how to turn on a dime and pray for those people and really mean it, really mean it, takes time, takes practice. It's something that you have to do over and over and over again, even before you really have your heart into it, before you realize that it's the right thing to do, that it frees you and you're not swallowing that poison, that you're letting it go. You wish the best for them. You pray for God to come into their life and work on them, not give up on them, but also let it go. Feel that hurt, feel that pain. Don't cover it up with anything, but let it go. Don't let it sit in you, fester in you, and manifest in other ways. Let it go. Let those people go, the people, places, and things that no longer serve your highest good. Um, get rid of them, but give it the time and space that it deserves, and pray for them. Pray for them, pray for them, pray for them. Always pray for them. Even if you never speak to them again, we still want the best for each other, and love is the highest vibration. So we want everyone to work on themselves and do the healing so that we as a collective here on earth can vibrate higher and come out from under the oppression that a lot of um, powers that were, not powers that be, powers that were, try to put onto us, lie to us, make us think that we're here to just slave away and hide the truths. Like, there's so many things that we're being lied about just to keep us where rich, powerful people want us to be. And that is not why we're here. So, part of my purpose is waking people up to their purpose and to help them to heal so that they can get out of their own way with addictions and things like that, so that we can start doing what we're really here to do, which is to love each other and to learn and to help each other out with compassion, and not hurt each other so much, not hurt ourselves so much. So, anyway, learn to pray for other people. Start putting that into practice so that it becomes easier for you to do immediately, and not put that off. Let that be a skill, like learning to ride a bike. Let that be a new skill that you put in front of yourself, and start making it instantaneous when someone hurts you. It's really hard. It's not easy, but nothing worth having or doing is easy. So, anyway, I was going to read some of this book, just a little bit of it, part that stood out to me in the introduction, and I will go through some of the other parts because I found other things that I would like to share with you guys. But if you want to go get the book yourself, I gave the name and author so that you could do that. But one great compassion that has always existed and always will, some may call it Christ consciousness, which I talk about often. When my mind clears and your mind clears, we do not see different things. We see one living spirit of all creation, the dazzling divine light that connects and enlivens all beings equally. Styles and symbols and languages may express these experiences in countless ways, but the transcendent realities themselves do not change, and neither do the big truths of human accountability. Each of us is called upon to choose good over evil, love over hate, generosity over selfishness, time and time again, and each of us will reap the consequences of our choices. Neither error nor culture nor pop sentiment can alter these basic truths, as Psalm 100 intones, His truth endures to all generations, and the Old Testament says, I am truth, I cannot vary. We are free to ignore or reject the spiritual laws of the universe, but we cannot render them ineffective. The perennial messages of the sages is that if we heed these laws, we will thrive spiritually. If we violate them, going against, we will wither spiritually no matter what degree of fame, fortune, or power we may attain. So it says each of us is set upon a hero's path. Each of us is sent in by the king to perform a particular task or purpose. Of struggling through countless illusions, the oppression, the lies, and compelling temptations to become as holy as is our birthright. Ascending, becoming Christ-like, and therefore closer to God. So each of us has an essential choice to make. Do we trust a growing modern notion that life is chaotic, random, and morally neutral with no great significance than whatever we ascribe to it? Life's a bitch and then you die, as an example. He who dies with the most toys wins. Greed. Or do we choose to trust the compass of the sages and the saints that life has profound meaning? We are here for a reason, and each one of us can touch the divine because we all have it inside of us to begin with. We just have to tap into that. All of the answers are within, which is why I really encourage meditation and staying in prayer. Yeah, that's the basic. There's more here, but that's the basic thing that I wanted to read today, because shedding the indoctrinations, I've often fantasized about having been born to someone who was already awakened, so that you don't have to go through years. I mean, that's the contract that we sign when we incarnate, but to not have to go through years of the lessons of the betrayals, the trauma, whatever it is that you have to go through to actually crack open to your authenticity and who you are at the core, the rebuilding, the death and the rebirth that you go through in life when you actually wake up to, if you do, hopefully you will, wake up to who you are before you entered this body, and know why you came here, what you're here to do. If you're born to someone who's already awakened, and then you don't go through all of the being taught all of the things that aren't true, being taught, spirituality from birth, and not having to go, how advanced we would be spiritually as a culture, as a species, to not have to shed all of that, not have to be lied to, and then, come to terms with the truth, however you might find your path. That it would be so liberating to not have to go through years and years. I know I wish I didn't have to go through so much, but I know that I signed up for that, and nothing was a mistake. It was all on purpose. Every part, every piece, every person, every lesson that I learned was for a reason. So I don't want to take it back, and I don't wish that I didn't learn those things, but I wonder what it would be like to just be born to someone awakened and be raised from birth, what from where they have awakened, what they already know, to jumping on your path and in your purpose a lot sooner. I think that would be great, because it'd be such a shortcut. Maybe a little bit of cheating, but yeah, how different that would be than having to go through all the trial and error and the hurt from figuring out that you were lied to, just to get on the right path eventually. And start waking up to all of the BS that we're fed day in and day out, up to the point where you're like, this is piss. um, yeah, so that would be freeing, but unfortunately, we don't come into this life knowing already. I've seen quite a few videos of where children um, do know already, children on TikTok that know about the death and rebirth and what you have to go through um, to become the true, authentic self and to realize your purpose and all of that. That some kids are born knowing. Some kids do come into this life and start teaching their parents who are far from awakened what their purpose is and how to jump into it. So they post their kids talking about stuff like that all the time. But anyway, I wanted to get on here and make this message really. I've been thinking a lot about my son Caleb, and his birthday is February 3rd, so just a couple of days away. And then Colin, my son, Caleb will be 24, Colin will be 12 on February 6th, so their birthdays are 3 days apart. So I definitely think about them a lot with it coming up, because I know I won't get to see either one of them on their birthday. I'm not even talking to my oldest son, but just know that spiritual warfare is very real, and a big part of spiritual warfare is infiltrating you, trying to um, get you off of your path, to get you to, be low vibrational and commit to a life of sin that will keep you in the low vibrations and not awaken. So the agents of the devil will more than likely, most often, in fact, probably 100% of the time, will come to you towards through loved ones, through the people closest to you in your life. And I pray for both of my sons every day, just like I do my enemies. But unfortunately, the devil used my oldest son to hurt me. And several years before, shit actually hit the fan in my life, he started treating me a lot different. And he claimed to not be talking to his dad, which I didn't care if he talked to his dad or not. That was drama between him and his dad that they needed to figure out, and I wanted to stay out of it. But he started treating me just like his dad used to treat me. So I knew that they were not in contact. I knew that that was a ruse. And if I, called upon him as if he were someone close and I needed help, he didn't even want to give me a ride. He didn't want to help me out in any way. He treated me like a crackhead for asking, and is very much like ex-husband behavior. So it started to click that um, he was not on my side. In fact, he was actually trying to hinder me rather than help me. So I let him distance himself from me. I let him talk to me pretty much any kind of way. And I did waste a lot of energy trying to convince him that you don't treat your mother this way, or I love him and all the things that I've done for him, and I would never talk to him the way that he's talking to me, yada, yada, yada. Just spilled all that energy, wasted all of that time, all of that precious energy that I can never get back. Trying to get him to realize what he was doing and how he was hurting me. But now I realize, because of how all of this has ended up and the state of our relationship now, that he knew what he was doing from the start, and he was doing it on purpose. So as much as it hurt me to let him go, I had to stop trying to convince him of my worth and let him know how bad he had hurt me and how much I loved him, because all of that was just a waste of time, that I had to realize and open my eyes to um, the fact, the very painful fact, that it was being done on purpose, and that he was being used as an agent of the devil, and he was lost. I let him break a lease in my name. Luckily, that didn't he had 2 leases in my name. One after he was selling drugs in my house, and I told him that he was going to jeopardize my custody with my youngest son, and he needed to get him his own place. If he wasn't going to stop, then he needed to get out and do it somewhere else. And he got caught with, probably after a few months of being out on his own, he got caught with a pound of weed, and I begged him to go see my lawyer, and he did, and he got that excused, expunged off of his record. So luckily that's not following him around. But yeah, that would have happened in my house, or traced back to me in the slanderous way, having to do with custody before any of this other stuff, which would have made my ex and his family probably very happy if that happened, because then they wouldn't have had to create things that would have fallen right into their lap with a big bow on it. Punish me, please. But after that, he got a girlfriend, and I understand distancing himself because of that. I want him to grow up. I raise him to let him go so that he can be self-sufficient and he can have his own life and he can thrive and flourish as an adult. I don't want to be wiping his butt. I don't want him to be up underneath me, but I did want to have a good relationship with him. And seemed like every time I called him, I had a wreck and I needed a ride home. He didn't want to give me a ride home. And then eventually him and his girlfriend moved out from being together, and I signed another lease for him in my name, and he wanted to break that all of a sudden, saying he didn't have money and that he wanted to come help me. So I let him move in with 5 dogs, and having a cake business with dog hair everywhere was quite a task. And then he was never around to take care of the dogs half of the time, and he didn't want to help me at all because he barely gave me any money to pay bills. So I remember one time having to pick up all of the dog poop like crazy. It ended up starting a war with one of the neighbors, and where I thought my son would defend me and wouldn't want anyone to talk badly to his mom, I ended up looking up and seeing him look out of one of the windows one day where the guy and I, the neighbor and I, were having words, and he was just looking at me with this look on his face, and it looked like he was happy that this guy was chewing me out and that I was having to defend myself, much less coming down to help me or rescue me, when he knew that it was about his dogs and that he wasn't picking up any of the poop, that I was having to do it. And this guy was mad at me over things that shouldn't have even been my problem. But my son was almost elated watching me from the blinds. And I'm glad that I saw that, because it did help it to sink in that he's not on my side. He was happy that something like that was happening to me because of him, and he wasn't picking up the poop or taking care of the dogs on purpose. Seeing him fall further into drugs, like I heard him snorting pills a couple of times. I knew that he came home trashed after driving and falling all in the shower and busting his nose and blooding it up, and waking up the next day and fussing at me over the mess in his bathroom when it was him that made the mess. Just trying to tell me that he was trying to make me a better version of the best version of myself, when I was working on myself harder than I'd ever had in my life. Not nearly to the point where I'm at now, but I was actually trying to turn my life around, had stopped drinking and was making positive strides, and he was coming home like that and treating me that way and telling me that he was trying to make me the best version of me. I was like, what about the best version of you? Where's that going? So lecture after lecture was more energy wasted, more love lost. And then come time for me to have to move out, he was fine with me getting evicted and had plenty of money to pay storage for all of his furniture and for a new place with no problem, but had no money to help me keep the place. So I ended up moving to my uncle's, and then that went south, with my uncle treating me badly. And then eventually, when we got locked out, I tried to appeal to him to let us come there, to let us stay there on his couch like I had let him move in with me. And he wouldn't return my phone calls. He wouldn't help me, didn't care. And he eventually had influence, even though I can mention this because he wasn't involved in the court case. I do feel like he had influence over it because, yeah, he had influence over it. He made promises that he didn't back up, but he had lots to say. And I feel like that did have an influence over things that were said and done having to do with my custody. But luckily, I didn't have to see his face in court testifying or saying things out in the open, but I really wouldn't have been surprised if he had shown up. He hates cops and he hates court. So I know that he's run from the cops many times and got arrested for reckless driving, trying to get away from them. So I'm not surprised that he didn't show up in the court because he hates those settings, but I was fully prepared to hear him say bad things about me in court if they had influenced him. But I feel like the devil got a hold of him. The devil, people through the devil had promised him things, people that I told him to never go back to, that I had shut out of my life. And as a minor, I thought I shut them out of his life too, but he went back to them, went back to that lifestyle. He went back to his father, which is fine, but he knew about all the issues that his father had, which is why I stopped talking to him in the first place. But he went back to all of those things, and then I became the enemy. I became something that was going to help him get a fast come up, promises of wealth, and he kept telling me without explanation that he was working on building his empire, and part of building his empire was using me as a footstool, was bringing me down. And I'd often talk to him about, Kanye being in the news and how if anyone ever came out and spoke out about the government or anything being wrong with the powers that be, that they better come out and say that they were not going to commit suicide in case someone decided to make them a sacrifice. And I said that Kanye needed to do the same. And he laughed. And now I look back on that eerily thinking I could have been sacrificed. I probably was supposed to be, but things didn't go the way that they had planned. But he definitely participated in the plan. And that's really sad to think of your own flesh and blood. Think of someone that you wiped their butt, that, you did everything in the moment. No, I wasn't perfect. I never will be. I made lots of mistakes, but in the moment, I did the best that I possibly could raising that child. And I know that we had an incredible bond at one point, but don't ever think that the devil can't come in, and most likely will 100% come in through those closest to you, those that you love the most. I wrote something down because it had something to do with this message. It says, I saw this on the internet, and it said the hardest battle I ever fought was between what I felt and what I knew. And that had so much to do with Caleb, because I always will love him unconditionally. Can I let him in my life without question, without him having worked on himself and proven that he's on the right path? No, I can't. My love for him will never go away. He's my child, one of my biggest blessings in life, something that I take the most pride in. But that's how the devil comes to you. He will come to you through your children, your parents, your romantic partners, whether you're married or in just relationships, your best friends. I can name 3 former best friends right now that have betrayed me, that have supported my ex-husband in trying to bring me down. And I gave them so many chances. I gave them so many talks, so many just cathartic moments where I poured my heart out to let them know how much they meant to me and our relationships meant to me, and to give them a chance to change or tell me why they would turn their back on me, what would make them do that to me. And still, they would not change. They would not come out with the truth. They doubled down. So know that, I'm not saying question every relationship that you have and not trust anyone, but don't be surprised and don't be hesitant about cutting those closest to you off, because that is what the devil will use to bring you down, to infiltrate your life, to be a monitoring spirit, to tell the enemy every move, every step, every thought that you're going to do, to use your love as their love as a manipulation tactic, something to keep you coming back because they think that you'll never cut that off. But dig deep, pray about it, be strong. Don't be hesitant to cut those off, because it will hold you back. And not everyone here is meant to awaken, as I said in one of my last videos. Some people here are on a mission for the devil. They're not going to wake up. Their sole purpose is not to help humanity, and they won't wake up if they're committed to a life of sin. They sell their soul for promises that the devil made to them. The devil will always come to collect, and you can't let their promise to the devil and their debt to the devil hold you back and keep you from ascending. You have to cut it. As much as I hate to say it about people that I love or have loved deeply, cut the dead weight, because if they've made promises to the devil, you don't need to sync up with that and be drugged down. Don't let that stop you from leveling up and you making yourself a better person and ascending because of mistakes that they made and the fact that they didn't cherish what you shared. That's not your problem. You did what you were supposed to do. Even if you made mistakes, you didn't betray them. You didn't do what they did to you. So peacefully make the decision to cut your loss, walk away, and pray for them from afar. Because that is the biggest way that spiritual warfare will blow up in your face if you don't learn that lesson and learn it quick. So that's my advice for today. I love you all. God loves you, and you're never, ever, 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 ever alone. I will see you later. Bye.